I think a successful PhD is not the one that publish more, but it's the one that it's capable of have networking to support himself, and the one that is willing to do good science. I think this is a learning process in which you learn more things than just, writing papers and doing experiments. I think it's more about being more human. I mean, you can compete, of course, but I think the most important thing is that you collaborate and then you improve the quality of stuff. So, yeah, that's my opinion.
Well, there's a saying that it's, I think it applies a lot, that a successful PhD, it's a finished PhD. Because you know that always when you are studying something, there's always more and more ideas, and you can spend a limited amount of time trying to improve your experiments and everything. So I think that you have to be realistic and stop at some point. And I think that if you manage to do that, you are a successful PhD.
I think I started with there's this contrast between what the real value of a trajectory like this is between what you get rewarded on. So the label, you do the summa cum laude PhD or something, that doesn't really mean anything, because the how do you call it, the markers that measure whether you're eligible for the summa cum laude or not, do they really say something about how much you learned as a person, as a human? And I would say no. And that's, for example, like if you look at university, like what are we learning? Oh, you went to university as well, but the way how you traverse through university is by getting good grades, or at least good enough grades. But what are those grades measuring? Well, they're measuring your ability to reproduce information. They gave you a book, you learned the facts, you reproduced it. So that 8 or 9 that the grade of 8 or 9 that you got for your test, maybe all of your tests during your bachelor's and master's, they only say something about how smart you are regarding sucking up information and spilling it out in the right way. But I think the real process of learning during university for a human is not to be able to do that well, but is to be able to get to know yourself. What do you like? How do you work? How do you learn things the best? Do you like it or not? Do you like to be able to think in ideas or in images instead of talking all the time? Maybe you like talking way more. And all those things, all the knowledge that you gathered from yourself, that is not being tested. And it's the same with the PhD here at the UMCG in Groningen. You get rewarded on how many publications you have, how many courses you have done in the learning thing, or in the learning, how do you call it, program, and how good of quality the publications were. What kind of score they had. That is what you're getting rewarded on in a way. And but that is something completely else than whatever you learn as a person. Yeah, and that cannot be measured, and that is the problem. The big problem of at least schools here in the Netherlands is we're rewarding on reproducing information. We're not rewarding kids or young people like us on discovering themselves, on doing something new, on pushing the boundaries of what you think was possible, to think outside the box, to think, to see through, to see through society's standards and ways of thinking. That should be rewarded, but we can't reward that because it's not tangible, right?
Okay.
And yeah.
Okay.
And you're not going to change that, but I think the least you can do is knowing that that exists, and that your own reward of your PhD is something else than what the paper says. So Do you have a summa cum laude? That's great. Does it say something about how much more of a human being you became? No, it doesn't say anything.
I would rather say that it's these are the skills you've learned throughout the PhD. Because when you start, you set up the project, you never know if it's successful or not. Anyway, even if you don't, if your hypothesis was wrong or results are not what was expected and it was not published well, anyway, you've learned a lot and it still means a lot. So I do not think that we should calculate the PhD quality based on impact factor or the amount of publications we have. I think that we should treat these 4 years as a way to improve your skills and knowledge.
PhD of quality, for me, it's slightly different. I would always go for quality more than quantity, because if you see quite some PhD students make a mistake of having a lot of chapters published, but they don't focus a little bit more on what's the quality. So that would be actually the amount of skills that you show in your paper. That is the quality. So as much as skills that you can show in your methods and grow as a researcher would be the quality of PhD.
I think that is also a very private question, because like different people, they have different purpose to do a PhD. Because for me, I want to work in research, and PhD is rather a ticket, an entrance ticket for research domain. Because if you only have a master, it probably will end up as an engineer or something. I think if you want to do research, for me, no matter in academia or in industry, then I probably would like to have the PhD degree. And for other people, if they just interested in a specific topic, and then like this PhD just provide them an opportunity to dive deeper in the topic they're interested, then as long as you figure out the question that you want to figure out before you do this PhD, then it's also a PhD with quality. But if you want to do it for career-wise, and then like you want to looking for a tenure track, then probably you need to have some more high-quality paper, and the number of papers is probably also the thing you need to take into consideration according to where you want to do your tenure track, because I believe different universities have different criteria to enroll people to their faculty position. And yeah, I think as long as you are satisfied with it, then it's a PhD with quality.
A PhD with quality. A PhD in which you have the how do you say it? I think it's important to set up research questions for yourself. Some PhDs are already determined from the beginning, like you have a certain question and you have to answer that question in your thesis. And I think it's more important to learn how to make those research questions.
You know, I think that greatly differs. I think in the way we value PhDs now is just having these gorgeous articles in high impact journals, which obviously is a massive achievement. But so I'm working on a large-scale randomized control trial, and it's incredibly astonishing to see how my previous PhDs have been able to set up such a massive study. And I think we should value those qualities as well, to be able to get the large data. And you need PhDs to having set up this great experiment. But then you also need PhDs who have this statistically mind, who want to go into all the data and are able to properly organize it and do sound statistics. Yeah, in general, I think a good PhD has a great curiosity for the subject and is able to ask the right questions that are important not only for today but also for the future, which is, I think, one of the greatest challenges in your PhD. But if you are able to achieve that, I think you've done a good job.